guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a foundation routine, and I have not done a foundation routine, like a straight just doing foundation. I haven't done one in, I would say, over 2 years. I honestly don't remember. It's been a long time. I was still filming in my sister's room on the floor. It was a long time ago. So I thought that it was definitely time to update it for you guys. Now, this video is going to be kind of catered toward the colder season. It is winter where I'm at, and it's not disgustingly cold. I do live in the south, so it is cold. Like, you know, it does get into like the 40s and sometimes the 30s, but like, yeah, it's not horrible. I don't live in like New York or Maine or all that. But when the weather does start getting colder, I like to switch up my products to cater more to my skin's need, because my skin does get a lot more dry in the winter, obviously, like most people's do. So I do like to transition into the more dewy foundations, more illuminating products, stuff like that. Nothing heavy, nothing matte, nothing full coverage. So yeah, that's going to be my foundation routine. I guess I'm gonna call it my winter foundation routine, and let's get started. So first step to my foundation routine is a skincare step. It is moisturizing. The moisturizer that I have stood by, my holy grail moisturizer for life. Don't think I will switch to anything different, is the Simple moisturizers. I don't know if they still have the hydrating one. Right now I've been using the Replenishing Rich moisturizer from Simple, but I used to use the hydrating light moisturizer, and I recommend both. If you can find the light one, if you have a little bit more of the oily skin type, then I would just use the light moisturizer. It's like, it is lighter, but I mean, I still wear the rich moisturizer under my makeup, and it's light as anything. It does not have like a sunscreen type of feel to it. You can't even feel it on your face. It absorbs into your skin within like seconds. It's amazing. I wear this under my makeup every single day. I have been using this for probably over 2 years now, and it is my baby. I've already moisturized off camera, because when I put my moisturizer on, I like to let it sit and sink into my skin for about 20 minutes before I move on to the next steps and prime my face, which is step number 2. The primer that I've been obsessed with in the winter time or recently is this Too Faced HangoverX primer. It's proactive, nourishing, replenishing face primer with coconut water, electrolytes, and probiotics. It's silicone free. I've mentioned this before in, I think, a favorites video, and like I said, it does not have that silicone silky feel. It's more of a moisturizer. This definitely feels just like a second moisturizer after I moisturize, so it gives you that extra kick of hydration, and I just love this stuff. For foundation, the foundation that I've been using a ton this month, or these past couple winter months, has been the Hellow Flawless Oxygen Wow Foundation. This is by Benefit. It is a oil-free brightening type of makeup. This is so lightweight, and it kind of feels like my skin. I don't really feel like I'm wearing heavy makeup, so I love it. And it also has a beautiful dewy finish, which is why I go for it so often. So I'm going to be using this with my damp beauty blender. It's a little bit dirty because I've been using it for the past couple days, but I love applying my foundation with a beauty blender. It is my preferred way of applying any kind of foundation and concealer, to be honest. This tool is sent from heaven. I don't know how I survived without it. I don't really ever even find myself reaching for brushes anymore. And I know it is all just personal preference, because I know people who do love their beauty blender but still use their brushes a ton. But for me, nothing compares to it and nothing beats it. So this is what I will be using to apply my foundation, but if you wanted, I do have some other options for you guys. These are my favorite foundation brushes if I do want to apply my foundation with a brush. So this is the Sigma Flat Top Kabuki. I'm sure you've never heard of this one. Yeah, it just looks like this. This is the bigger of the three, and then this is my Glamier foundation brush. And it's a little tiny bit smaller. It's a little bit more dense than the Sigma Flat Kabuki. And then this one I've been loving too. This is the Makeup Geek angled stippling brush. So it's really, really dense, a little bit smaller if you can see the difference. So as you can see, the head of the brush is a little bit smaller in diameter, but I love it. I love this for blending out my concealer, because it is angled, so it just fits in the crevice right there. It's awesome. I love all three of these brushes, but compared to the Beauty Blender, So I like to put about 1.5 pumps of this foundation on the back of my clean, washed, sanitized hand, and then I will just dot it all around my face and then blend it in with the Beauty Blender. So once I have it dotted evenly around my face, then I'll just take it and start kind of punching myself. And another tip, if you are using a beauty blender, it's a little bit easier to reach with a brush, but you can see it's still kind of red, like right in the crease of my nostril here. So what I like to do is either take a brush and kind of just go like this, because the brushes kind of form to the crease and can push that product deep in there. Whereas this is flat, so it, like, you know, there's like a gap in here. So you really just kind of have to get more product and push really, really hard and kind of like tighten up your nose. And then just push really hard to get that product in that crease, so there's not, you know, a giant red crease where your nose is. See how you can kind of see it? That looks really unnatural, so make sure that you are doing that if you blend out with a beauty blender. And also, do not forget the ear area and the jawline, your neck. So now that I have my foundation on all over my entire face, I'm not sure how well it's picking up on camera, but my skin looks so dewy and fresh. Like, I don't know if you can see, you know, that kind of shine that it gives. Looks really, really beautiful. You can still see my skin underneath this foundation, which normally I hate, but in the winter I don't really mind it that much because I just want my skin to look healthy and like radiant rather than trying to look completely flawless. But now I'm just going to put my under eye concealer on, which is the MAC Prolongwear Concealer in NC15. I really, really love this for all year round. I think this is just a overall great concealer. It's been my holy grail for a really, really long time. It's many other people's holy grail. So it's a great product, and I'm just going to do one pump of that on the back of my hand, just about that much, and then I'm going to take my finger and just dot this under my eyes. Then I will take whatever is left over and dot a little bit on my chin and then on the center of my nose. And this is just going to highlight the face a little bit more and give myself a little bit extra coverage because this concealer has great coverage. And while I'm blending, I kind of like to start in the middle, go towards the inner, bring it down to the sides of my nose, and then back up to the sides of my eyes, and then just keep going in that pattern. And you can just see the massive difference from like the darkness under this eye, and it just completely brightens up your whole face. It's awesome. Now before that concealer has any time to settle into my fine lines under my eyes or crease up, I'm going to set it with a powder. I like to use my e.l.f. High Definition Under Eye Setting Powder for this. I love this stuff because it's extremely cheap. It's like $2 or $3 maybe, and I love it because it's so fine. It's such a fine HD kind of powder that when you use it, it doesn't even look like you have powder under your eyes. It just sets really, really nicely. It doesn't look cakey at all. Like I said, you can barely see it. This does have sparkles in it, but it doesn't really transfer to your skin. You can definitely see it in the jar, but once you put it under your eyes and kind of blend it out, all the sparkles just either fall off or disappear, or I honestly don't know what happens to them. But they don't show up. You don't have like a sparkly under eye or anything. So yeah, I love this product, and I'm just going to use my Real Techniques setting brush to apply this to my under eyes to set that powder, or that concealer. Now before I powder the rest of my face, which I have to do because I have combination to oily skin. If you have dry skin and you don't need to set your face with powder, then don't do it, but I just need to because otherwise my foundation will just slide around and won't look good. So before I powder the rest of my face, I like to highlight my skin with like illuminating products. I love this one by Revlon. This is the Photo Ready Skin Lights Face Illuminator in Pink Light. It's just a really, really nice product, and it's relatively inexpensive. But today I'm going to be using the Benefit What's Up highlighter, and this is a cream highlighter. So it's in like this cream stick kind of form, and I just kind of like to go like this, take my middle finger and my ring finger, and I just kind of like to rub it on there. So I have it like this, and then with these two fingers I like to dab lightly on the highest points of my face to give that kind of glow and that healthy radiance to the skin. So I will just lightly tap over and over again, going back and forth, up and down and around, just really getting this product into the skin so it looks really natural. And I'm just like gonna do that, apply a little bit more to the fingers, and do the other side. So I'm also going to take this and dab some on the center of the nose, a little bit on the cupid's bow, chin, and that's it. If you wanted this kind of illumination that I have going on the highest points of my face all over your face, maybe let's say you're super dry and you really want that dewy look, you could have gone in with an illuminating primer under your foundation or even mixed in with your foundation. I have this one by L'Oreal. It's called the Magic Lumi Light Infusing Primer that I could have put in my foundation or under my foundation to give my face an all over kind of glow instead of just a dewy finish with glow on the high points. If you wanted that shine, like that glow from within kind of look all over your face. So after I've highlighted the spots that I want highlighted, I'm just going to set the rest of my face with my Australis Fresh and Flawless Pressed Powder. This is comparable to the MAC Studio Fix powder, I believe. That's what I've heard. So, but any pressed powder, face powder, whatever you want to use. You can use a translucent powder, a loose powder, any powder really. So I'm just going to take a big fluffy powder brush, dab it in a couple times, shake it off the excess, and then I'm just going to lightly dab in the areas that I need my foundation to be set. I try not to put too much powder on those high points because I don't want to cover up the highlighter, so I mainly just focus the powder around here where I get really oily, on my nose, and on my forehead. So that's pretty much it for my foundation routine. All that's left to do is contour and add blush and maybe a little extra powder highlight if I'm feeling it that day, which I usually am. So yeah, I'm just gonna contour with a little bit of bronzer. I don't have any crazy specific routine for that. Literally, you've seen it a billion times in my getting readies and tutorials and stuff. It's the same thing. All I use for contouring and bronzing is I will bronze up my face with a little bit of the Hoola bronzer by Benefit. I've hit pan, it's so sad, but this is one of my all-time favorite bronzers. This is a great bronzer for pale skin like me because it's warm, but it does have that kind of cool undertone to it. It's not like gray at all, obviously, but it's not completely orange or anything. So this is great for pale people, and it's a great contour shade. But I use this to just kind of warm up my cheeks, and then I will actually do the contouring with an even cooler shade, which I like to use. I think it's called Fawn from my Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit. It's the middle shade right here, and I use this with a little bit of a more precise brush to get right into the hollows of the cheeks so it casts more of that shadow appearance. Oh, and the brushes that I like to use for this step is my Sigma Large Angled Contour F40 brush, which is a little bit dirty, but I like to use this for my bronzer. And then I like to use the Rounded Blush brush by Makeup Geek to get right into the hollows of the cheeks with that contour shade from the contour kit. And then I will finish off the video with a little bit of blush, which I use my Holy Grail blush brush, which is from IT Cosmetics. It's really, really pricey though, so I have two alternatives here. Sometimes I will use the Makeup Addiction, the blusher brush, or I will use my e.l.f. blush brush, which is super cheap and it's really, really good. And then I'm going to add a little bit more powdered highlight because why not? I can, and I want to look super, super glowy. So I'm going to be using Moonstone by Becca with my Sigma Tapered Highlighter brush. So there you can see just my simple contour. I like doing it this way with the two shades because it's kind of like an ombre contour. So it's kind of the same concept how you would do your crease. You would put a dark shade, but you don't just want one harsh dark shade. You want it to blend out into a lighter shade. So that's kind of how I do the cheeks too. But yeah, I really, really like it. So for blush, I'm going to be using Sigma Heavenly. It looks like this, and it's just a really, really light peachy shade, and it's really, really pretty. I've raved about Sigma blushes before, so that's why I'm using one, because they're amazing, and I really, really like this shade right now. So I'm just going to dab about twice into the pan, and you can see how pigmented and how much is on my brush. So I'm just going to shake a little bit of the excess off, and then I'm going to smile, and I kind of like to put my blush on the backs of the apples. So when I smile, I kind of cut the apple in half, and I only put blush on the outside of that apple. I do not like to bring the blush anywhere close to this area right here because blush is just not supposed to go there. So yeah, so I'm just going to smile and keep the blush on the backs of the apples, and then I will drag it up along that contour. But yeah, keep it, don't go any here. So that's how the blush is looking, and if I get a little bit too heavy-handed and I don't like how much I've put, I'll just take my powder brush and kind of wipe it away. So last but not least, I'm just going to add a tiny, tiny little bit of powdered highlight just for that extra oomph. Normally if I do a cream or liquid highlight beforehand, I wouldn't need this extra step, but sometimes I just like to do it just because I really like highlighter. Don't you just love how one of my eyebrows is so much darker than the other? Like, it's always been like that. Like, I used to get made fun of in like way earlier videos for it, but you can just really tell in this video, I feel like. This one has always just been lighter than this one. This one's like so much darker. That's so funny. But anyways, this is the final look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful and maybe learned something. I don't know. This is exactly my routine on a daily basis when I do wear makeup. I'm not really like a minimalistic makeup kind of person. I've mentioned this before. I either like to do a full face of makeup or just wear nothing at all. So this is what I do on a daily basis when I wear makeup. And sometimes when my face is acting up and I have a little bit more acne, I will use, you know, my heavier foundations like my Revlon Color Stay or something that is pretty heavy and matte and full coverage, and I can do all the extra steps that I showed in this video, like all the highlighters and stuff, and my skin will still look pretty fresh and not dewy, but like it'll still look glowy, if that makes any sense. So yeah, this is just kind of like my winter routine. So you can use this with a dewy foundation and get it like the extra dewiness, or you can use a matte foundation and just do some of the extra steps, and you'll still look nice and fresh for the winter. So I really, really hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, I will talk to y'all later. I love you. Bye!